is through the metaphysics. And once we began to give you the inner components to deconstruct this Caucasoid, you can't deconstruct this Caucasoid according to what he has given you. Well, he's this and he's a beast and he's a... That shit ain't saying nothing. But when you deconstruct him spiritually, it's like, whoa, you can't take me apart that way because I already got my illusion out about myself. I already told you who I was. If you start digging in and tearing that particular veneer down, and you start pulling aside the curtain, and you begin to see who it is that the wizard really is, now he's pissing because you see he ain't nothing but an old white man pushing up a whole lot of levers and machines to tell you who he is. He ain't that big, great, and powerful Oz that you think he is. And that's the frightening part of it. Once that condition of mind is changed, once the people begin to see their spirituality, but you see, he's slick. He's playing chess with spirit. So what does he do? He begins to build and put more money into the churches. There is a serious influx of the church influence now in our communities, more so than ever. We're building cathedrals in the poorest parts of Africa. Huge marble cathedrals are going up. Why? Because they know that the spiritual component of the 100th monkey is beginning to catch fire. And we will wake up when we start understanding this metaphysics. So he has to put the money into the churches because now the churches can start refining and containing spiritual growth inside of that encapsulated version called religion. So the preacher man now becomes the diversionary point for all the young people whose new spirituality is waking up in them, who by the work of me and a lot of brothers like myself and sisters and brothers in Africa and all around the world who are speaking that, even the white boys here are picking up on it because they're going to their Maharishi to speak on, to listen and learn and shit. They're understanding that that spiritual component wipes out all of this bullshit. So, yeah, especially Conscious Rasta, when he said that he was going to plot to destroy the gathering of the masters, to bring it down. Him and Di Bernardo and Khalid. They didn't know what they were doing. They did not know what they were doing. That what Bobby and I represent, we ain't over there playing games and bullshitting. We are code breakers. Their code breaking days were maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. At the time when we had the fever to go and march with our guns in the streets and have the people behind us. But today, people running into churches for their what is that? Their interpretation of the times. It's bullshit. They got us locked down in that light code lockdown. And until we start decoding the information without religion, without politics, without education, see, all of these are the distractions. When we begin to decode the information based upon what it is that dozens of us begin to do now, without the help of religion, without the help of nationalism, all the isms that make us contain ourselves. Once we do that, then something becomes clear. You strip away the clothes. They say the clothes makes the man. You're damn right the clothes makes the man. I could make a wet bag of shit look appealing and you want to buy it. But that's exactly what he's done. He has clothed a wet bag of shit and we are buying it wholesale. They can't keep it on the shelves long enough.
You know, you say something very interesting when you talk about decoding and worlds of reality. You spoke of, when I said worlds of reality, you spoke of them going at our religion, them going at our gods or deities, that the way that we worship, the way we relate to nature, the way we relate to ourselves through our spirit, the matrix that was set up for us to interact with nature. Therefore, to attack our gods, you know, to say that's evil. You better not speak your language.
Right.
We beat the hell out of you, kill you if you speak in your own language and everything. Now, people go every day and cut on the television.
Right.
And they are fascinated. They pick up a telephone, well, they really don't think anything of it, with the exception that they think that this is science, and science belongs to the white man, and the European have discovered this. But in the world that they destroyed, through our taking away our language and our culture, our ancestors could set up a bowl of water and look at it. And just like you cut the TV on, they looked in the bowl of water and saw reality around the world.
True that.
And the telephone is merely a receiver and a transmitter.
That's right.
And there's more than one way to make a receiver and a transmitter.
Amen.
And once I think you begin to break these things down to our people, and I want you to speak on this, because this is where I think that the problem lies in a lot of us not understanding that what you're bringing is a new dimension to the same problem.
Exactly.
As opposed to trying to solve the problem through the same mechanism that the European has created to divert you from your world.
Exactly.
So I wanted you to talk about that world. I know you've already spoke on why they had to take your language from you, and in particular your deities from you.
Yes.
But go into that and then bring that together in this attack on the metaphysical.
Okay.
As it not being relevant.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, but I think that if you put these two together,
Right.
I think we can.
I think you've done a wonderful job. Just it's almost like your question is rhetorical.
Yeah, I ain't on the film though.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get you in front of you soon. But it's very pertinent that you actually couched the conversation inside of that. The attack on the metaphysical community. We don't know that we attack ourselves when you attack the metaphysical community. Because at the time when in your village you had your witch doctors and the people who were the seers, those are the first people that your chiefs went to. You see? Now, because we've been Christianized or Islamicized, we now have this thing where you can talk to God, but if God talks to you, you're crazy. Well, then who am I talking to? So what's more valid about me talking to a God, and what's less valid about me getting answers? And that's the mentality that the Caucasoid, the recessive, is set up. To doubt your spiritual abilities. To doubt that someone else can do it, because now you've been taught that you got the flavor, you're individual. Not understanding that there's a step-down process that our ancestors used to say, that's a seer. From the womb you knew who you were. Took your child out, showed it to the seer, that's who came back. We knew. We didn't have to need all this white man's equipment and stuff. You said something very important about the fact that we have, not only did they destroy our language, but when they have destroyed our connectedness to even perceive that something is possible, they have cut us off from all of our potential. You see? So, to tell me that metaphysics is irrelevant is to stub your own toe. Because I am, and Bobby, and Delbert, and everyone who is in that framework, trying to do our best to resurrect what was suppressed. The only thing that has been allowed to resurrect, because they understand that that is the direct confrontation, is the militant side of ourselves. That's why they pour the guns into our community, because they know that they have that under control. But what we represent, they have no control on it.
How do they have the guns under control?
Well, they give us the guns so that we could fire at them, so that they could have the excuse to fire at us.
And they got the bigger guns.
And they got the biggest guns.
Okay.
And that's why you see them now. They're going back into nuclear experimentations. They understand that a whole lot of people have to die for them to have this new world order to be in place. There's too many surplus people. And that surplus came based upon their practicing on how to take over.
I don't understand.
In other words, you create conditions where people are poor, no longer control their own environment. Poverty immediately causes a triggering of the birth rate. And now you have these surplus humans that you don't need, what they call the useless eaters. They're trying to get rid of all of them now. And they are. They're going to start it. You're going to see mass exterminations. You got an idea in Rwanda, but it's getting ready.